schedule today. Well, it's a pity, but we will record today's section anyway. So for those who didn't show up, okay, at least they'll be able to see the video. Okay. Okay. So last lecture, actually yesterday, okay, we talked about the Metropolis algorithm, right? Okay. The Metropolis algorithm provides us a much easier way to compute the posterior, okay, without doing the integration, okay, which normally is the most difficult part of Bayesian inference, okay. And by using the Metropolis algorithm, you don't need to use like the conjugate prior, okay, which only apply in certain situations, and you don't need to worry about like using a grid point approximation, which again like only apply when the problem involve only a few parameters, okay, maybe 2, 3 at most, okay. So it has all these advantages, okay. However, okay, Metropolis method, okay, although as I said it's very useful, but it can be ineffective. What do I mean by it is ineffective? Let's look at this slide. Okay, you can see that. Okay, we discussed these 3 examples, right? And I already told you that the middle column, okay, which has like a median standard deviation setting, okay, is the most effective, provide the most effective sampling, okay, and I mean, which when compared with the low like standard deviation or high standard deviation settings, okay. However, if you look closer to the middle example, okay, this is the result, okay, of how many iterations. Take a closer look, okay. These 3 just show you the initial trace, okay, from the first iteration to the I think it's the first 100 iterations, okay, and this one show you well, it's too small to see, from like pretty much the last 100 iteration. Okay, this one show you the last 100 iteration. So you can see that the last iteration actually is numbered 50,000. Okay, 50,000. So all these cases are the result of 50,000. I'm not 500,000. 50,000 iterations. Okay. Of course, this one is the most effective. Okay, which will give us the effective sample size of like 11,000. Okay, this one will give us very bad. I mean, it's less than 500. This one will give us effective sample size of like a little bit over 2,000. Okay, so you can see that the middle one is the most effective one. Okay, obviously. But even for the middle one, okay, with 50,000 iterations, we only end up having 11, well, if you know, not even like 12,000 effective sample size, right? It's 11,723 to be exact. But we actually did 50,000 iterations. We're supposed to get like in our world, like each iteration will give us one sample, right? Each iteration is supposed to give us one sample. Of course, at this moment, you still don't know what is the definition of effective sample size. We will get to that point later, okay? But basically, okay, effective sample size is like it's a translation, okay? It means like you have this 50,000 samples, okay? It accounts, okay, to how many independent samples. Okay, how many independent samples? Because if the samples are very correlated, then it doesn't provide, these samples will not provide very useful information, right? You know what I mean? Okay, because if, let's say, if two samples are very correlated, then these two samples will not be able to provide the information of two samples, right? It can only provide maybe a little bit more than one sample information, but not close to two samples. Okay, so basically, okay, this thing basically, okay, this effective sample size basically measure like how many independent samples can you obtain from these 50,000 iterations. Okay, so theoretically we are getting 50,000 samples, but it's at the end, okay, we only obtain, okay, in the best scenario that we can see in the middle column, we only get like 11,000 effective sample size. If we are setting the standard deviation appropriately, right? So it's like if you look at the ratio, it's less than 1/4. Okay, so for every 4 samples, we get only one independent sample, pretty much, right? So that is exactly what I meant, okay? Rich-Parler's method, even though it's very useful, okay, but it can be ineffective, inefficient, okay, now. It can be inefficient because every 4 to 5 iterations, it only end up giving you one independent sample. So what do we do? Okay, one possible one possible method we can use is called Gibbs sampling. Okay, Gibbs sampling, of course, it is also an NCMC method. Okay, but it has a stronger assumption. I will get to that point later. Okay, and it typically applies to models with multiple parameters. Gibbs sampling normally do not apply. It does not apply to models with only one parameter. Why do I say that? I mean, you will see, okay, exactly what Gibbs sampling does, okay, just in the next few slides, and you will understand why I say that. Okay, let's use an example. Okay, to see how Gibbs sampling works. Okay, let's try to estimate the biases of 2 coins. we have seen how to estimate the bias of one coin, right? Okay, we now try to estimate the biases of two coins. Okay, you may ask, hey, we have already seen the estimation of bias of one coin, and previously I explained to you guys what real world application will be, okay, when it comes to estimate the bias of one coin, right? The similar cases in the real world application. How about when you estimate the biases of two coins, are there any real world applications that resembles such a scenario? Okay. For example, suppose we have a sample of 97 people suffering from a disease. Okay, we give a random subset of them a promising drug, and we give the other a placebo. So we break these 97 people into two groups. Okay, the first group we give them real medicine. The second group we give them placebo. Okay, placebo, I already explained to you what the placebo means. Okay, after 1 week, 12 of 51 drug-treated people have gotten better. Okay, and the 5 of the 46 placebo-treated people have gotten better. You may wonder, well, how come if you just give the placebo to the patient will get better, right? This is amazing, right? Well, first, human body has its own ability to recover. Okay. Second, remember what I told you. Okay, when you give a patient a treatment, you do not tell the patient he received the real drug or placebo, right? So all these 97 patients, okay, consider themselves getting treatment, okay? And this type of psychological impact is very important, okay? Some people, okay, just because of this psychological impact, okay, it can, make them feel better, okay? So it happens, in the real world, okay? It's not just just make up, okay? But in the real world, yes, if you don't do anything to a patient, just tell them, okay, I'm giving you a wonderful drug, okay, and you just give them maybe a vitamin, okay. If that guy doesn't know it's vitamin, okay, he keep taking that, okay, he will feel better. Actually, he will feel like his body is getting better. Okay, it's actually amazing. Okay, but anyway, okay, so after a week, 12 of 51 drug treated people have gotten better, and 5 of 46 placebo treated people have gotten better. So for each group, okay, there are some patients that are gotten better, right? But the issue is, okay, did the drug actually work better than the placebo, and by how much? Okay, so this one, okay, this scenario is kind of the first group, okay, the drug-treated group, okay. For each patient, it's kind of you flip a coin, okay, and if it feels better, it means the coin, flip result in head. Okay, if the patient doesn't feel better, it means the coin flip result in tail. Okay? And for the second group who receive like a placebo, okay, same thing, okay? If the patient feels better, it's just like you flip a coin, and of course this will be another coin, okay? Because it's a different group, and you are treating the patient, this group, with a different medicine. Well, actually not medicine, it's a placebo. Okay. By the way, okay, for each patient in this second group, okay, again, it's kind of considered as a coin flip. Okay, and if this patient gets better, okay, then we consider the coin flip result in head. If the patient feels like not getting better, we consider the coin flip result in head. Result in tail. Okay, so the question here: did the drug actually work better than the placebo? Basically, it means that we want to estimate the biases of these two different coins. Okay, and by how much? Okay, and by how much? Again, we want to compare the biases of these two coins by how much. Okay, so you can see that, okay, this type of, even though we are only estimating the biases of two coins, they can be mapped into this type of real world situation. This is not the only application we can think of. For example, okay, the other situation. Suppose you want to find out if mood affects cognitive performance. Okay, you manipulate mood by having 83 people sit through mood-inducing movies. Okay, a random subset of your participants is shown a bittersweet film about lovers separated by circumstances of war, but who never forget each other. Okay, so it's kind of love story. Okay, it's very touching. Okay, so the other participants, again, you are breaking the participants, these 83 people, into two groups. The first group of people, you show them this kind of like a touching, very touching movie. Okay, the other group, okay, you show them a light comedy, okay, about high school pranks. Okay, just comedy movie. Okay, like everybody gets like a good laugh. Okay, after seeing the movie, okay, immediately, okay, all participants are given some cognitive task. Okay, including arithmetic problem involving such as long division. Okay, of these 42 people who saw the war movie, the very touching movie, 32 correctly solved the long division problem. Of the 41 people who saw the comedy, only 27 correctly solved the long division problem. Did the induced mood actually affect cognitive performance? Again, you can see, okay, now since we break these 87 people into two groups, okay, and we are conducting, after the seeing different movies, we are conducting this test on each of them, okay? So for the first group, okay, these 41 people, okay, we can consider we have 41 coin flips, okay? If a person in these 41 people who, if he correctly answer that long division problem, we consider the coin flip result in head. If he incorrectly answer the long division, we consider a coin flip result in tail. Okay, and we do the same thing for the other group, okay, people in other group, okay. So again, we can use the coin flip to basically to represent like what happens in the second group, okay. So if we try to imagine, okay, each group performance as like a coin flips, then again, what we are doing is we are actually estimating the biases of two coins. Okay? So as I said, okay, this the estimating the biases of multiple coins, okay, sometimes I mean it can be linked to the real world application. Okay, these two are a couple of examples. Okay, so before we have a further discussion, since we now have two coins, so we would like to get the notation straightened out. Okay, straighten out the notation first. Okay, so to be generic, we'll talk about heads and the tails of flip of coins instead of outcomes of participants in groups. Okay, so we just try to say coin flip instead of just use these examples, because these examples, they are more complicated. Okay, so each group means represent a coin. The outcome of one participant basically is outcome of a flip. Okay, so the same sort of notation that we used previously can be applied here, but now we have to use a subscript to indicate which of the two coins is being referred to. Okay, because like now we have two coins, right? For example, originally we used theta to represent the bias of a coin, right? Theta represents like the probability of coming up head for a coin, right? Okay, but now we have two coins, right? So basically we use theta 1 to represent the probability of the first coin coming up head. Theta 2 represents the probability of the second coin coming up head. That should be very easy to understand, right? Okay, so things like this, okay, so basically notation are basically the same, except that we now have like subscript. If you see a subscript, you know like which coin this notation is referring to, basically. Okay, and we also assume the data from two coins are independent. I think that's a reasonable assumption, right? Okay, the two coins are independent. Okay, when you flip one coin, it shouldn't have impact to the flip of a second coin. Okay. Well, in real world scenario, okay, in certain application, this may not be true. Okay. For example. Okay. For example, okay, like this one, okay, for this patient, 97 people, okay, 97 patients, okay, you give them different treatment, right? If this, after you break them into two groups, okay, say, okay, after you provide them different treatment, okay, one group you provide them the real drug, the second group you provide them placebo, okay? But if, for example, like a second group, okay, the first group, okay, happen to have some action with the second group. Okay, sometimes it may break that independent assumption. Okay, sometimes, but you know, as I said, okay, this experiment, okay, normally is done like in a closed monitoring environment. Okay, so we normally will not let this situation have to occur. Okay, so we can assume, okay, that the data from 2 coins or 2 groups are independent. Okay, so the performance of one coin has no influence on the performance of the other. Okay, so if you have a situation in which the groups are not independent, as I said, okay, if it happens that the 2 groups, okay, have certain interrelation, okay, interactions, okay, that makes the data you collect from them, okay, no longer independent, okay. The method discussed here do not directly apply, okay. In situations where there are dependencies in the data, a model can try to formally express the dependency, okay, but it will be much more complicated, obviously. Okay, it will be more complicated. Okay, so let's just assume, okay, for now, just assume that these 2 coin flips, they are independent, okay? And we are considering situation in which there are 2 underlying biases, okay, namely theta 1 and theta 2 for 2 coins. I already explained what they are, okay? So our prior beliefs are about combinations of parameter values. Okay, to specify prior belief, we must specify the credibility, probability, theta 1, theta 2, for every combination of theta 1, theta 2. Okay? So, when we describe the prior, we are actually describing the probability of combined probability, the combined probability, okay, or joint probability, okay, joint prior probability, okay, basically. If we were to make a graph of P theta 1, theta 2, it will be 3-dimensional. Why? Because theta 1 and theta 2 will be on 2 horizontal axes, and P of theta 1, theta 2 will be on the vertical axis, right? So it will be something like, it will be some, okay. It will be something like this. You have theta 1 here, you have theta 2 here, and you have, this is probability of theta 1, theta 2. Okay? So it's going to be 3-dimensional. Okay? It's not a line, it's going to be a surface. It's going to be a surface. And it's going to be 3-dimensional, obviously. Okay, so because the credibilities form a probability density function, their integral across the parameter space must be what? In other words, like if you do a double integral, okay? Again, okay, normally you put this one at the end, okay? Double integral probability theta 1, theta 2, okay? D theta 1, D theta 2, okay? Should be 1. Okay, but this author, as I kept mentioning, he just had a problem. He kept like putting like a d theta 1, the end listing like in front of the integral. Okay, that's not the convention used in any mathematics book. Okay. But you get the idea. Just like 1-dimensional situation, sorry, not 1-dimensional, just like one parameter situation, okay, for two parameter situation, it's similar. Okay, it's just like now we have two parameters, so you integral over these two parameters, the result should be 1, obviously. So for simplicity, okay, we will assume that our beliefs about theta 1 are independent of our belief about theta 2. So in other words, okay, probability of theta 1 and probability of theta 2 are independent. So in other words, okay, we can say the joint probability of theta 1 and theta 2 will be the product of p theta 1 and the p theta 2. Okay, because they are independent. I think we already discussed like the definition of independence previously, right? When we introduced the joint probability. So basically, I mean, that's obvious the result of this assumption. Okay, for every possible value of theta 1 and theta 2, okay, where p theta 1 and p theta 2 are the marginal belief distributions. Okay, so this is the obvious result. Okay, if we assume the p theta 1 and theta 1 and theta 2, okay, are independent. Okay. And this is, again, this happens all the time, okay, because, well, consider coin flip, okay. If you have an underlying probability, okay, for first coin, okay, the probability of the first coin should be dependent to the probability of the second coin. Okay, same thing applies to like the drop and placebo, right? If the drop has certain effect, okay, to the patient, okay, the bias of the drug, okay, should be independent to the bias of the placebo. It should be like that. Okay. So this is not like a surprise. It's not a surprise. So dependence does not imply direct causal relationship. Okay, what is causal relationship? Causal relationship is like okay, A causes B. Okay, A causes B. Okay, but the causal relation, okay, causal relationship has a different mathematical definition. Okay, which is different from like a Bayesian definition here. Okay, so the dependence, okay, and the causal relationship are different. Okay, the dependence, okay, the dependency just implies that knowing the value of one parameter constrains belief about the value of the other parameter. Okay, so that's the dependence. Okay, this is the dependence. But the causal relationship is much stronger definition. Okay, because we are not discussing causality like in this class. Okay, if you are interested in causality like discussion, okay, you can do a keyword search on like a causal relationship, okay, on Wikipedia, okay, it will give you a very detailed mathematical definition, okay, but I will skip that part here, okay. Actually, the causal relationship is also one of very important portion. It is very important part of computer science. Okay, there was a professor about like 8 years ago. I think I forgot. Sorry, probably not 8 years ago. Probably like 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, there's a professor at UCLA. He won like a Turing Award. You know, like the highest, the most prestigious award in computer science is Turing Award. Okay, it's named after Alan Turing. Okay, that professor, I forgot his name. Okay, he has a major contribution on causal relationship. Okay, so of course he's a computer science professor. Okay, what's his name? Yeah. Anyway, okay, about 2015, 14, I forgot. Okay, so if you are interested, I mean, you can have a look. Okay, he's the inventor of Bayesian network. Okay, he's the inventor of Bayesian network. Okay, by the way, we are not going to discuss Bayesian network, and Bayesian network is also one of the important model for estimation theory. Okay, you could, if you are interested in that. Okay, I know like Professor Chen Hongxuan in our department, he's teaching statistical learning course, and his course cover the Bayesian network. Okay, originally I wanted to open a course that discuss that topic, but just that topic cannot make a course. Okay, so I was hesitated to open a course just for that. But Professor now has a course. Okay, I think of course he covered not only Bayesian network, he covered some other topics as well. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So dependence. Okay, and the causal relationship are two different things. Okay. And then we assume that the flips within a coin are independent of each other, and that the flips across coins are independent of each other. Okay, so for example, like probability of probability y1 on condition of theta 1, theta 2 is going to be probability of y1 on condition of theta 1. Okay, because theta 2 has no impact on the outcome of the first coin anyway, right? So you can drop theta 2 here. And same thing, okay? The outcome of the second coin, the y2 means the outcome of the second coin, okay? On condition of theta 1, theta 2. It has nothing to do with the theta 1 anyway. So it will be the same as py2 theta 2. Okay? So this is obvious, right? Because we have that independent assumption. Okay? So once we have that, okay, we can have the whole set of data D, okay? The whole set of data D equal to Z1, N1, Z2, N2. Okay, actually it's not only Z1, N1, Z2, N2. It is actually something like this. Assuming the subscript represent like the outcome of a particular coin, okay, and then okay, suppose for the first coin, the outcome is like a y1, 1, y1, 2, y1, 3, and y1 and okay, well, actually, y1 and n1. Let's use the notation we have here. Okay, because for first coin, we actually flip it n1 times. So for the first coin, that's the result. And for the second coin, y2, 1, y2, 2, and the y2, n2. That's our D. And in this set, in this plate, in this outcomes, we happen to have Z1 hat. In these outcomes, we happen to have Z2 outcome, Z2 hats. Okay. So for simplicity, okay, for simplicity, we just write it D, capital D equal to Z1, N1, Z2, D2, Z2, N2. But actually, it doesn't represent just like how many number of heads and the total number of flips, and number of heads, the total number of flips for the second coin. It actually represents like a particular sequence of flip for the first coin and a particular sequence of flip for the second coin. And in the sequence of the first coin, okay, there are totally N1 flips and Z1 number of heads. In the frequency, in the sequence of the second coin, okay, there are totally N2 flips and Z2 number of heads. Okay? Once we say that, okay, then this thing can be written as this one, right? And this one. Oh, it uses a different notation, okay? It uses like a Y1, and then I, okay, I put this I as a superscript here. Okay, but actually he used Y11, Y12, and so on, Y13. Okay, he put everything in the subscript. You get the idea. You get the idea. Okay, so this will be the outcome from the first coin. This will be the outcome from the second coin. But as I said, this outcome from the second coin has nothing to do with the theta 2. So you can drop this part. And the outcome of the second coin has nothing to do with the theta 1. You can drop this part. After you drop the theta 2 here and you drop theta 1 here, okay, you can provide like this. You can get this Bernoulli likelihood, okay, from the one coin scenario, right? Basically, it's just like this. And then you can combine these two to get a result like this. So it should be obvious, right? Just some very simple algebraic operations. Okay? Any question here? So this is the likelihood function for you flip two coins together. Not together, I mean, well, not necessarily together. Okay, you don't need to flip them together. You can flip them independently. Okay, or together. Okay. The most important thing is you collect some data from the first coin. You collect some data from the second coin. Okay, that's the most important part. Okay, and that's the likelihood function. Okay, so okay, before we continue our discussion, let's take a break. Okay, take a 10 minutes break.